I think at the time when 94 in Rwanda, we were looking at, Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding and Wayne Bobbitt. Everybody knows what happened to Bobbitt.
I call it the missing white woman syndrome. If there's a missing white woman, we're going to cover that every day.
It's true. So I think we need to keep our focus on real.
Dear American culture, we have a problem. The disparaging strategy of being Black and missing in America. A complex issue in our country. Black and missing people in America face a deeply troubling and complex issue that demands urgent and immediate attention. The underrepresentation and lack of media coverage surrounding cases involving missing Black individuals reflect a disturbing trend that perpetuates disparities and systematic injustices. This disparity not only hinders the search efforts for missing persons, but also perpetuates the notion that the lives of Black individuals are undervalued. It is crucial for society to recognize and address this inequity, amplifying the voices and stories of those affected and implementing comprehensive measures to ensure swift and equal response in all missing person cases, regardless of race or background. By acknowledging and actively working to rectify this issue, we can strive towards a society where every missing person is afforded the same level of attention, care, and justice, regardless of their race or ethnicity. It is no secret that the disparities of missing Black people in America goes back hundreds of years. The history of Black people going missing spans several centuries, and it is deeply rooted in the history of slavery, colonization, and racial discrimination. It is a tragic and complex history that reflects the systematic dehumanization and exploitation of Black individuals in my community. Even still, we don't know all of the facts. History only tells us what it wants us to know. The historic correlation of Black people going missing. During the transatlantic slave trade, which took place from the 16th to the 19th century, millions of Africans were forcibly captured and transported across the Atlantic Ocean to be sold as slaves in the Americas. Many of these individuals were separated from their families and communities, resulting in a significant number of Black people going missing during this period. The slave trade was a highly profitable industry that involved the abduction, sale, and enslavement of African people, treating them as property rather than human beings. Enslaved Black people often endured brutal conditions, forced labor, and harsh treatment, leading to high mortality rates. Additionally, slave owners frequently tore families apart by selling family members to different plantations, resulting in permanent separations and the loss of kinship ties. These forced separations further contributed to the phenomenon of Black people going missing during this era. After the abolition of slavery in the Americas, Black individuals still face numerous challenges, including institutionalized racism and violence. The period of Reconstruction following the American Civil War saw significant advancements in civil rights, but these gains were soon eroded by the rise of segregation laws and discriminatory practices, such as Jim Crow laws, which perpetuated racial inequality. During the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, Black individuals and communities fought against racial segregation and discrimination, demanding equal rights and an end to systematic oppression. However, this struggle was met with violent resistance, and numerous Black activists and leaders went missing or were targeted for violence. Media and its repeated failure. In recent times, the issue of Black people going missing has gained increased attention, particularly in cases involving police brutality and the disproportionate targeting of Black individuals by law enforcement. Though it is said to have received increased attention, that attention is not media attention on a national level in comparison to our counterparts, and even with our local police department, since oftentimes our loved ones are considered runaways initially. Still today, cases that are of our white counterparts take precedence over cases that are of Black Americans. One example is a case that I covered for missing Alexis Patterson, which took a back seat, while Elizabeth Smart's case caught the attention of media and garnered vast attention across the nation. The only difference between the girls is that Alexis was only 7 years old, from Milwaukee, and Black, while Elizabeth Smart was 14 years old, from Utah, white, and from a wealthy family. Media just does not always consider our cases as newsworthy for coverage. It is important to note that the history of Black people going missing is a part of American history and American culture, sadly. Some of you may or may not have heard of sundown towns, which are still in existence today. Sundown towns are areas that are deemed severely unsafe for Black people after sundown. If you're Black and in a sundown town, your life is at stake, and it can be a fatality where whites would harm, torture, murder, or make a Black person go missing. This is the true barbaric nature and culture of America the Great. Resultantly, the history of Black people going missing is a direct reflection of the systematic racism, discrimination, and violence that Black individuals have endured throughout history and still today. As I've always said, I know law enforcement's hands are tied because they're not only investigating missing person cases, but they're working on homicides, crime, security, and missing persons are one of their focuses, but it can easily grow forgotten if there are no new leads. There needs to be dedicated and organized units that are fully staffed to take on missing person cases as their sole focus. The thing with missing person cases is that they're unsolved due to most likely a lack of details. Now, those lack of details can be the result of poor cooperation, or what I've seen, an inefficient investigation to obtain the facts to start the groundwork. This is why there has been a proliferation in true crime-focused channels and networks immersed in analyzing missing person cases. This is why I created The Missing Found, in decency and in order, to help be a voice, analyze, and be a bridge to finding the missing people in my community. This is not me asking for your help, culture of America, because we never needed your help. This is me shedding light on the disparities of an entire race of people in our great, great country, and the complete disdain and lack of concern until it happens to one of your own. The disparities that you created are supposed to be what they are today, through your tragedy and ill intent. Jadyn Harlow, The Missing Found.